Hello guys, this is Christopher from China, Germany, this time with a review of the Pipo W3, a new Windows 8.1 tablet PC from Pipo based on the Intel Z3775D SoC. Well, it's not all that new. It has been released back in 2014, that has been a few months already. It is the successor of the Pipo W1 that I tested as well. And well, besides of the faster processor, this tablet also got a better screen with a higher resolution. So let's have a look how good this thing is. So what you guys see right in front of the camera here is the packaging the Pipo W3 comes in. As you can see, it's pretty much the same box the Pipo W1 came in. They just changed the printings. The accessories are pretty much the same as well. You get, of course, the tablet. Then you get one type cover with it. You get one OTG adapter with this slide, and of course a wall charger as well. That's not much of accessories, but well, for a tablet this is pretty much enough, I think. So this is the Pipo W3 you see right here. At the first look you can't notice any difference between the Pipo W3 and the Pipo W1 because the front is looking exactly the same. Well, that's the case for pretty much all Windows 8.1 tablets. So let's have a look around the device to see the differences, and you notice them immediately when you look at the sides, because the body is totally different from the W1. The W1 featured a full aluminum cover on the rear. This one is made from polycarbonate instead, and people put this typical brushed metal plate on the back that we find with so many Pipo tablets. So that's one big difference. The build quality is still very high, so you don't really notice the plastic or polycarbonate, however you want to call that. But the weight surprisingly didn't change due to that. It's still 588 grams. That's exactly the same weight like the Pipo W1 featured. So what else has been changed? Well, the W1 featured speakers on the rear. Those have been moved away from there to the upper frame, as you can see here. They are still stereo speakers and still sound very good. I even think they have been impressed a little bit. They have a lot more bass playback in my opinion now. So what else do we have here? We have a volume rocker, or more like two single buttons for volume control. On the other side you see a charging status LED, the on-off switch, a 3.5mm headphone jack, an HDMI port, which is a mini HDMI, and a microSD card slot for cards of up to 128 GB. There are 64 GB of internal memory, so you can bump that up quite a bit. You also have a micro USB port, which acts as an OTG port, so you can actually use USB devices with an adapter. And this is new, we also have a real USB 3.0 port, so you don't need an adapter for your USB devices. You can just plug in any USB stick or mouse or keyboard, whatever you like, and it will just work. That's a really nice feature and I really like that. And surprisingly, the thickness hasn't been changed. It's still 1 cm, even though they put in a real USB plug here. The other thing we have here is the charger port and of course one microphone. Then on the bottom of the tablet you can see the connector for the type cover, and here we see a little gap, and this actually can be removed, this part on here, and you probably wonder why. The Pipo W3 features 3G access, but it doesn't have an integrated 3G modem. Instead it is using an Huawei Ultra stick. This is a little 3G modem that you can actually replace. You pull in your SIM card here, push it into the tablet, and you can surf through mobile internet. That's a really neat feature, and I really like that, because when you got an LTE contract or something in the future and you want to use LTE, you simply can replace the modem and don't need to purchase a whole new tablet. Those are priced at around 30 bucks, so they are not that expensive, and that's a really nice thing I really like about the Pipo W3. The Pipo W3 still features a 10.1-inch IPS panel without OGS, but while the Pipo W1 featured a sub-Full HD panel, this one now features a Full HD panel, which essentially does mean that you have a much sharper image and you can't see any pixels at all if you are in the standard distance when using the tablet. Of course, when you come close you can see the pixels, that's normal, but under normal usage you can't see them at all. Other specs of the screen haven't been changed that much. The brightness is still up to a higher level, which makes it possible to use the tablet conveniently when being outside, and also the viewing angles are still perfectly fine, and the touchscreen is working just as well as you can see here. I don't need to put much pressure on it and so on, it's just working. I really like it. So the screen is very good and it really is fun using the tablet and watching movies or something on it, or reading texts as it's so crisp and sharp. We are talking type cover now, and as you might remember, when I tested the Pipo W1 back last year, I also tested the Cube iWork 10. They were kind of the first available Windows 8.1 tablets from China. Both came with a type cover, but they have been very different. The Pipo W1 type cover actually was made from leather and featured a metal plate on the bottom to make it very solid when using it on your lap. And it also featured a multi-touch trackpad. The Cube iWork 10 cover, however, was made from some felt-like material, and it had physical buttons but no multi-touch trackpad, and also had no metal plate, which made it a little shaky when using it on your lap. But the keyboard was simply insanely good with the Cube iWork 10 type cover, and that's why I preferred that over the Pipo W1. Now with the Pipo W3, Pipo actually invented a new type cover, which features the same material like the Cube iWork 10 cover. It's made from felt. That's something I don't really like, simply because it's a dirt magnet. You see that, and it's really hard to clean up. It doesn't look very nice anymore after just a couple of days. But, and that's a real plus, they have put the whole advantages of the Cube iWork 10 type cover together with the advantages of the Cube W1 type cover, which essentially means that we have a multi-touch trackpad with physical buttons, which also get a lot larger, so you can use that very conveniently now. We also got some status LEDs here for caps lock, for example. The keyboard has been improved, the keys got a little bigger, and you have to press them further inside to type, and they also have got a much better pressure point now, which is a real plus. Also the plastic plate here, in which the keyboard and the trackpad are embedded, is a lot more solid now, which makes this whole thing very stable when sitting on your lap. So when you're typing, the tablet is not moving around. That's really convenient, and you can just use it like a real netbook. Let me just show you how to use it. You simply plug that here and the magnet is doing the rest, and then you can use the tablet as usual with the keyboard and the mouse. So I really like the Pipo W3 type cover, but I don't really like the material it is made from. Next, let's talk performance of the Pipo W3 and of course system, and I won't go into any details about Windows 8.1 this time, because pretty much all of you should know this operating system so far. It's the normal Windows 8.1 version that you get with any PC. It's just the free one with Bing on top, which means that you also get a free Office 365 subscription with this late. This is valid for 1 year, by the way. You might worry a little if one can really notice the performance difference of the faster SoC inside of there, because the previous Intel Z3775D in the Pipo W1 was already blazingly fast with Windows 8.1. But let me tell you, you really notice the difference, because this new SoC can reach a speed of up to 2.4 GHz, which is a lot compared to the Pipo W1. And you really notice that in terms of the fluidity of the system, and of course also when opening up larger websites, especially in the Chrome browser, which is now working a lot smoother than before. Let me just show that with an example of some large website. My focus is going nuts right now. Here we go. So as you can see, scrolling is working very fast, zooming is working very fast. It's really not an issue working with this tablet, also with huge websites. It's really fun using this device. There's just one catch. The 3D performance hasn't been improved. The SoC is still using the same graphics chip as the Pipo W1. But we have a higher resolution screen now, which means that we need more processing power. And this means that the 3D performance got worse. It's still perfectly okay for those games inside the Windows Store or some older PC games running at lowest settings. But you don't really notice any performance improvements at all. This is probably also caused due to the RAM. We still have 2 GB of RAM inside of there. With the Pipo W1, 512 megabytes of this RAM have been assigned to the GPU. This has been changed here. Now the GPU only is using 128 megabytes of this RAM and the rest is available to the system. This means that we have got an improved multitasking performance, but the 3D performance of course got worse. Besides of that, I'm really satisfied with the tablet, but there's one huge flaw which Pipo isn't responsible for, but Microsoft is. That's due to the high resolution screen at the small 10.1 inch size. You know, computer screens with full HD resolutions are usually much larger than 10.1 inch, and that's what Windows is assuming. So in the new Metro or modern UI, there isn't any issue. You can read everything perfectly fine. But the desktop mode of Windows 8.1 would be extremely small, so you can use the touchscreen at all. You almost can't read the text, it's just too small. So there is a feature which actually makes fonts and user interface elements appear larger despite the high resolution on this small screen. Now this is working fine within Windows itself and also within most applications, but some applications ignore this setting, which means that they still are very small and pretty much impossible to use on the screen without a mouse. And one of those tools unfortunately also is the control tool for the Huawei Ultra Stick. As you can see here, the stuff is really small, you almost can't use it with your finger. Just look at this size comparison. If I want to hit a menu here, it's possible, but really not easy. And I hope this will be fixed when. I don't think it will be fixed with Windows 8.1 anytime soon, but with Windows 10 this should be fixed. Now this isn't anything that would make the tablet unusable, but it's something you should know because it's a really annoying issue in my opinion. Next thing we're talking about is the battery of the Pipo W3, and well, the Pipo W1 featured an 8000 milliamps cell or 2 cells inside of there, which in total have 8000 milliamps, and the Pipo W3 still does. That's an issue, obviously, because the higher resolution screen needs more energy, the faster processor needs more energy, and of course the Huawei Ultra Stick also needs more energy, which means that you don't get the average of 9 to 10 hours you reached with the Pipo W1. In fact, this one is cut down to in between 5 to 8 hours of battery life, depending on what you're doing. On average, during a normal work day, I reached around 7 hours with the Pipo W3. Now this is still a good battery life in my opinion, but well, it's far away from those 10 hours you reached with the Pipo W1, and I think if people would have pulled in a 10,000 milliamps battery, that would have been much better. Well, the thickness would have become higher probably, but I could live with that for myself. Charging the battery takes around 3.5 to 4 hours, so that's quite some time, but normal for such a huge battery. So we hit the final conclusion part of the Pipo W3 already. Yes, I jumped over some categories, but this is because the video would get too long then. Just read the written review on gischina.de or gischina.com to know everything else about the tablet I didn't tell you in this video so far. So what's my take on the Pipo W3? Well, it's a decent tablet PC with minimal flaws in my opinion. The resolution bug is something one can live with. The limited battery life, in brackets limited battery life, is also not really a huge problem, but it could be for some. Still, it's a workhorse. It's a great tablet for office work, for blogging, for whatever you want to do, for a great business tablet in my opinion. The USB 3.0 port is a nice addition. The mobile internet access you can enjoy here is very neat. And I think the price of around 330 bucks right now from China isn't all that high for such a device. But I have to say that if you are using your tablet for multimedia purposes, not for work, get something else. There are Windows tablets way below 200 bucks available from China, which are perfectly suitable for everything multimedia, for entertainment, for gaming, but not for work. But if you don't work at all with a tablet, don't need type cover and such stuff, go for the cheaper ones. In this case, it wouldn't be worth the money you are paying for this one. Well, that's so far with the review. I've got this tablet from mediacontorhude.de. That's a German shop, which is offering the Pipo W3 for around 349 euros, starting from this week. Well, I hope you liked the review. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, please subscribe here on YouTube, like us on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter, and I will see you soon with new reviews. Bye, over and out.